All praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Greatness Stone. Shalom to the elect pushing His word in truth and in sincerity, with the hope of receiving mercy. Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai is the name of His only begotten Son. The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the Israelites according to the prophecies that are written in the Scriptures. I want to make it known that the RFID microchip is the MOTB. The serpent juice is the precursor to the MOTB. Yahweh Shai, who dwell in and called Jesus, is about to make His return upon the earth to deliver His elect and to pour out judgment as it is written. So, right now it is becoming more evident day by day that they know that the chariots are out there, which they refer to as being UFOs or IAP, But the prophets have been out there for a while warning the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans and telling you of the times you're in and what's about to transpire upon the earth, And it is becoming so evident, so much video, so much images of these flying vehicles, that it's becoming so hard to deny. And they're coming out more and more. And right now people just still find it hard to believe. This is Isaiah 66 verse 15. For behold, Yahweh will come with fire, and with His chariots like a whirlwind, to render His anger with fury, and His rebuke with flames of fire. And that is what chariots are coming to do, to deliver the elect and to burn who's supposed to get burned by the beam. So the chariots are got release, For by fire and by His sword will the Lord plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord, the slain of Yahweh shall be many. And that is Judgment Day. All I hear people talk about Judgment Day, they don't understand what Judgment Day is really about, The day of the Lord, One say a day ago, a blood moon was out. And when you read Joel, it tells us that it represents the great and terrible day of the Lord. And that's why even in Revelation 1 verse 7, it said, behold, He cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see Him. That will show you the size, the magnitude of the chariot that Yahushua is coming on. And they also which pierce Him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of Him. Even so, amen. At the appearance of the Lord, it's going to be terror on the inhabitants of the earth. They're going to be so frightened to see these vehicles hovering in the skies, So let's run this clip. This is what inspired this video,
I think what the American people should think when seeing that video, along with others before me, is that there is something out there, and we should know as the people what it is.
We are hearing from whistleblowers also on Capitol Hill who allege the government is holding back crucial information about UAPs, unexplained aerial phenomena, what many of us still call UFOs.
And in fact, we heard about the stories today about a triangular craft that was huge in size with lights on the apex of the triangle. There are other whistleblowers right now, to include former special operators, who are willing to come forward and talk to Congress and the intelligence community about these exact aircraft being seen over military bases.
It stopped about 100 feet in front of me and approximately 100 feet above me. My telephone got extremely hot, completely froze.
From whistleblowers who served in the military.
Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming."
And just to put it out there, is a reason why them have put out these informations. We're not deceived, we're not tricked, because them have something planned, yo. Even if you want to be Project Blue Bean or whatever them have, we know what the prophecies are declared, yo. We know our Lord is gonna return. So nothing that they try not gonna deceive the Lord's elect. But as I said, the evidence is so overwhelming now, in which them have to push forth something to the public gradually.
Right for us. From 2011 to 2013, I was stationed at Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, and at approximately 0130, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base. The craft interfered with my telephone, did not have any sound, and the material it was made of appeared fluid or dynamic. I was under this triangular craft for a few minutes, and then it rapidly ascended to commercial jet level in seconds, displaying zero kinetic disturbance, sound, or wind displacement.
And this video that was just revealed that we played a portion of just a second ago.
Right away, basically, I'm saying can't fathom, comprehend, me, how the vehicle move at the speed that it is, and I'm not seeing nothing where that show how it propel you.
It's from an MQ-9 Reaper drone off the coast of Yemen in 2024. The missile appears, it's a 100-pound missile. It appears to simply bounce off this object rather than destroy it. It's unbelievable. What do you think we're seeing here?
The hearing was enough to convince some lawmakers who were once skeptics.
Growing up, I really never believed in UFOs or any of this stuff. I'd admit, I've become a believer.
GOP Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson showed an alarming video leaked to him anonymously.
It pivots in some way, and then there's what appears to be debris from the missile. The missile is deflected, and then some pieces of debris appear to be traveling alongside and with this object for an extended period of time.
My name is Jeffrey Nusatelli. I'm a former military police officer with 16 years of active duty service in the U.S. Air Force. Between 2003 and 2005, 5 UAP incidents occurred at Vandenberg Air Force Base. 2003, when Boeing contractors reported a massive glowing red square silently hovering over 2 missile defense sites. After several minutes, it drifted further east onto the base and vanished over the hills. Later that night, while I was on duty, security guards at a critical launch site reported a bright, fast-moving object over the ocean. I responded to the incident. Chaos ensued over the radio as the object approached rapidly. I heard my friends screaming, "It's coming right at us, it's coming right for us, and now it's right here." Moments later, I heard them say that it had shot off and was gone. When I arrived on scene, I talked to 5 shaken witnesses who described a massive triangular craft larger than a football field that hovered silently for about 45 seconds over their entry control point before shooting away at impossible speed. About a week later, another patrol report.
I wonder if I can catch that. Impossible speed. Look on the words, the wordplay, yo. But he must see something impossible before his eyes. He can't explain it, yo. Because according to the physics of men, that is impossible. That for sure say men is not behind these crafts, yo. Esau and these other nations, them not have a clue about the level of technology behind these vehicles.
The light over the ocean, behaving erratically. Believing it might be an unannounced aircraft, they declared an emergency, and an armed response force responded. Before the forces could arrive, the object descended and either landed or hovered on our flight line and then took off again at impossible speed. The witnesses to this event were threatened and intimidated afterward. They were told to keep quiet.
When you look close, you can see what looks like maybe 3 other objects flying off of it. Can we just slow this down a little bit and play it back if we can to see exactly what we're talking about? All right, so there's the missile, makes a strike. This is a huge board, so I get to see this up close. 3 different distinct objects. This thing seems to be spinning a little bit, and then it zooms out. But when this missile hits, I mean, what are we seeing here? Are we seeing these parts coming off of this, what was supposed to be like a sphere?
I think that myself and all members on that task force, to include the witnesses, have the very same reaction, and that nothing, to my knowledge, exists in our arsenal that can split a Hellfire missile like that. But more importantly, why are videos like this being overclassified and held back from the American people?
You also heard testimony from service members who were saying some pretty wild stuff. Like, what stuck out from the testimony that you heard today?
Well, the Vandenberg Air Base was something that I had heard about, but I never heard directly from a first-person witness in regards to what they went through at the time of the incident.
After that, things did get quiet until about 2005, when another patrol reported a massive triangular craft larger than a C-130 silently floating over the installation. He watched it for a few minutes. It traveled west and disappeared into the night. And then I had my own encounter, again in 2005. I was off duty, sitting in my backyard with 2 other police officers when we noticed what first appeared to be a satellite in orbit. But it wasn't acting like a satellite. The light was strange, it was pulsing, and then it started to maneuver. It dropped in elevation. At times it would vanish from view and reappear in a different location in the sky. And eventually it reappeared 200 feet over my house. It was a 30-foot diameter sphere of light. My friends and I watched it for a moment, and then it gently accelerated and traveled up and disappeared into the stars. These events profoundly changed my life and the lives of my friends. We stand at a pivotal moment in history. The question is no longer whether these events are real, but whether we have the courage to face them.
Are you saying, though, that is evidence that is not of this planet, that there is no technology that could do that?
That's right. There is no technology that can do that that we know of now. But on the other hand, there's no technology that can actually go from 80,000 feet from outer space down to the surface of the ocean in 0.7 of 1 second and stop instantly generating 6,000 pounds, 6,000 Gs of pressure on the craft. Now, that all these things that these UFOs are doing are things that nothing in our arsenal and nothing in the Russian or Chinese arsenal can do. And so the Congress is confronted now by, what is this?
We just saw it deflect that missile. The missile hits it, and then it just kind of just dodges a little bit.
Mr. Chief Wiggins, you said that it emerged from the ocean. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And before it did, it was glowing. It was a glowing object under the water.
Dramatic UFO footage recorded aboard a U.S. warship off the coast of Southern California is making waves. As we first reported last week, Navy sailors recorded video of 2 tic-tac-shaped objects near their ship. Well, now an eyewitness to that encounter has stepped forward, and coincidentally, he's from Las Vegas.
To my surprise, which is something I've never witnessed, was a light I noticed on the horizon, but it looked as if it were surfacing out of the water.
He says he jammed back to the combat center and took a closer look on the Sapphire system, which is a thermal sensor, not a camera. The sensor detected not just 1, but 2 tic-tac-shaped objects. Neither showed any hint of an exhaust system or any known propulsion system.
We only saw the one, and then we see the second one. It was only when we zoom out we realize, holy crap, there's 2 more out here, a total of 4. And all of a sudden, you just see all 4 of them take off to the northeast all at the same time, just out of nowhere. And if I had to talk speed, it would say like maybe 2 steps behind instantaneous.
When you first saw what you were looking at,
What were your first thoughts? My first thoughts were, I think everything that I was told and taught as a kid and as growing adult no longer, was applicable. If I'm able to see something that I thought defies gravity in such a way, then what else could be possible?
Lawmakers say the U.S. is now in a space race. It's competing against China and Russia to figure out UAPs first.
And at approximately 0130, I saw an approximately 100-foot equilateral triangle take off from near the NASA hangar on the base.
Tonight, only on Fox, just about every year about this time, the subject comes up. People start talking about the Phoenix Lights mystery.
While thousands of people were outside purposely looking at the sky for a glimpse of the Hale-Bopp comet, they also caught a glimpse of 1 mile to 2 mile wide in some very credible reports. Either orbs, giant balls of light that seemed to be attached to something in a mile-wide V formation, or actual craft.
They were called the Phoenix Lights and quickly became one of the largest mass UFO sightings of all time.
One of the people I talked to about this was former Governor Fife Symington just a couple of years ago. He was a former Navy guy. He said, what I saw that night was definitely a craft. He said, and not of this world. Symington said it was not of this world, is how he put it. And that was kind of interesting.
It's my personal belief, based on a fair amount of evidence, that they're not aliens. They've always been here. And I do think it's spiritual. That's my view. And again, it's not provable, but based on the evidence, I think. I'm with you. But if the U.S. government has in fact had direct contact with these beings, whatever they are, I've already told you what I think they are, and has entered into some sort of agreement with them, which is the claim of informed people, I would say, whether they're right or wrong, I can't say conclusively. But if that is true, I mean, it's a very, very, very heavy thing.
Yeah. A lot of people say interdimensional beings.
I want to ask, are angels and demons, or how would you describe these beings?
These are, again, I'm getting into the realm of conjecture, so I just want to say that flat out.
Entity?
But one thing I know for a dead certain fact, having seen it, is that there is good and evil. We're being acted upon at all times. And I think every person can feel that in himself. I mean, there are moments when you are moved to do things that are much better than you actually are, and they're also more evil and destructive than you actually are. You are subject to forces from outside yourself. That is absolutely true. Now, we can argue about what they are, but every person in the room, if he's reflective, will tell you, yes, I know what you're talking about. And so
oh boy. No, I have a clue. And just to speculate, but as I say, those are the angels in the chariots. And we know that Isa have various vehicles where him not show to the public where, would have stunned the common man for see what it can do, but compared to the chariots, Isa vehicle and just a toys, So, not gonna make this very long. Just want to show you this. So with that, I want to say Kalalal, Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim Yahweh Kodesh. Shalom.